What would you do if I told you that you're killing your own life, minute by minute, with every distraction, with every excuse? Yes, you're doing it, and you know it. Every day you let slip away never comes back, and while you hesitate, life keeps moving forward without waiting for you. How long are you going to let your time slip into nothing? It's time to wake up and take back what's yours. In this video, you'll discover the 12 Stoic lessons you need to start applying today to stop wasting time and truly focus. These teachings aren't just advice, they're powerful keys, forged in the harshness of life, meant to awaken your intent and give you back control over every minute of your existence. If you keep putting things off, if you keep running away, each day will turn into a silent enemy. But if you dare to act decisively, like the Stoics did, you'll never again feel life slipping through your fingers. Are you ready to face that truth and focus on building the life you deserve? Then let's go for it. Look, I don't know about you, but I've always thought the best stories don't start when someone has it all figured out, but when they're about to give up. And this one starts just like that. Her name was Irene, 34 years old. On an ordinary Tuesday, she sat in her car with the keys in the ignition, not starting it. She was supposed to head into the office, but she couldn't move a single muscle. She stared through the windshield, and all she could see was her own reflection. A woman with dark circles under her eyes, her hair thrown up in a rush, an endless to-do list, and zero desire to do any of it. She'd been like that for years, between the office, the meetings, the dinners with colleagues to keep up appearances, social media. Her days felt like a marathon with no finish line, and worse, with no meaning. That day, while everyone else rushed through the door like ants, she stayed still. She took a deep breath and thought, so this is it. This is living, running, doing, pleasing, exhausting myself, and waking up the same tomorrow. In her bag, between bills and receipts, she still carried the ticket to a concert by her favorite band that she never went to because she didn't have time. Then something unexpected happened. On the corner of the street, an old man was selling flowers. She'd been seeing him every morning for weeks, always calm, never in a rush, greeting everyone. That day, she dared to look at him a little longer. The old man walked over, offered her a flower, and with a smile said, "Don't forget, flowers don't wait for someone to water them. They grow even if no one's watching." And he walked away. Irene stayed there holding the flower, wondering what the hell that even meant. But it was enough to make her start the car, and for the first time in a long time, not go to the office. She drove aimlessly and ended up at a library. There, almost by chance, she found a forgotten book in a corner, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. She opened it without thinking too much and read the first underlined phrase, "Stop wasting time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." She shivered, as if the old man, the flower, and that Roman emperor had all conspired to tell her the same thing. Stop wasting time and focus on your life. Just like that. Like the title of this video. In that moment, she knew something had to change. That postponing her own peace just to please everyone else was an insult to the only life she had. That night, she wrote a list of everything she didn't want to keep doing. She stopped going to pointless meetings. She said no to people who drained her. She picked up her music classes again, the ones she'd quit when she started being an adult. She bought flowers for herself and even gave the old man his smile back the next day. It wasn't easy, of course not. There were days she felt selfish, strange, even lost. But every time she doubted, she'd open the book and read again. The life of each of us is what our thoughts make of it. And she'd remember she wasn't here to run around aimlessly, but to choose which direction to walk in. Before we go on, tell me something. How many times a day do you feel like you're running, doing, exhausting yourself, but not moving forward? Like every minute slips away on things you didn't even choose. If that feeling sounds too familiar, subscribe and become an exclusive member to learn how to take back control of your time and your life. And tell me in the comments, what part of your time are you giving away without even noticing? Or just write, Stoic at heart. Today I start living with intention. 1. Time doesn't wait for you. You know what's the worst part? You don't even have to do anything for your time to slip away. Just by staying still, staring at the ceiling, saying, "I'll get to it," you're already letting it go. That easy, that brutal. Tell me, how many Mondays like this one have you spent promising yourself you'll find the time? How many times have you let your gold coins fall through that invisible hole while you just sit there watching them disappear? Time is exactly that. A bag full of 1,000 shiny coins when you wake up. But it has a hole. One by one, the coins drop, clink, and vanish. And you decide whether to pick them up in exchange for something worthwhile or let them fall while you scroll through phone cases on Amazon. Yeah, like last night. Monday evening, someone texts you and invites you to those classes you've always dreamed of taking. And you reply, "When I have more time." That same night, you spend a whole hour comparing colored cases that won't change a thing in your life. And you don't even remember which one you chose. Mel Robbins puts it another way on her podcast. She says the famous "someday" is a mental trap. That the only day you really have is today now. This minute that's already starting to slip away. That's why she recommends that. When you decide to do something, you stand up and do it before your mind starts negotiating with you. Because it will. It'll tell you better tomorrow that it's not the right time, not now. And while you argue with that voice, your bag keeps emptying. Look at yourself right now, holding that leaky bag in your hand, coins falling through, and still believing you'll have more tomorrow. And if Marcus Aurelius could see you now, he'd probably laugh sadly and tell you, "Stop wasting time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Because for him, postponing what you know you have to do was an insult to life itself. Every moment was an opportunity to be. Not to think, not to plan, not to invent excuses, to be. Because life doesn't wait. Not for emperors, and not for you. Tell me, how much longer are you going to let your bag empty itself? If you want to start filling it with something that's actually worth it, here are 3 things you can do right now, without waiting for another Monday. First, at the end of the day, write yourself a little medal. It doesn't have to be anything huge, but it has to be real. Just one thing that made your time worth it. Maybe it was finally making that call, spending half an hour without distractions to work on your project, or even saying no to something you didn't want. Write down that medal, put it somewhere visible, and look at it before you go to sleep. Because if you can't say what made today worth it, then your bag emptied in vain. Second, set alarms with funny messages on your phone to make you realize how much time is slipping by without you noticing. One that says, "Hey, did you just lose another hour?" or "Still looking at cat pictures?" or even, "The bag keeps emptying, champ." Because nothing shakes you quite like your own phone calling you out in the middle of your distraction. And also, block off one afternoon a week for something that scares you or excites you right now. Just one afternoon. But protect it like it's a date with life itself. If someone suggests something else, say no. If excuses pop up, remind yourself that you're paying for that afternoon with coins that won't come back. That class you've wanted to try, that overdue conversation, that long walk. The bag doesn't wait, and neither should you. Time doesn't wait for you, my friend. Every minute you let drop is gone for good. So before your bag is completely empty, stop arguing about what you should do and get out there and do it. Because no one else is going to do it for you. And your life doesn't stop to wait for the undecided. 2. Stop saying, "I don't have time." My friend, I'm going to tell you something you might not like to hear. Every time you say, "I don't have time," you're not telling the truth. You're hiding. You're disguising your fear of choosing. Because, my friend, not choosing is also a choice. And most of the time, that choice is pulling you further away from what really matters, while you keep believing life is forcing it on you. Let me tell you an old fable that comes to mind every time I hear someone repeat that phrase. It's the story of Buridan's donkey. They say there was a donkey, starving, standing at exactly the same distance between 2 identical piles of hay. Both just as big, just as green, just as tempting. He could eat from either one, but he didn't know which to choose. He looked to the left, then to the right, then back to the left, And there he stayed, unable to decide, until he finally starved to death with both piles right in front of him. Sounds ridiculous, right? Well, every time you say, "I don't have time," you're doing exactly the same thing. You stay stuck, frozen between 1,000 things that all seem equally important, and you don't choose any of them. And in the end, time slips through your fingers. The difference is, the donkey died of hunger and you die of mediocrity, of days that leave no trace, of opportunities that don't come back. Epictetus understood this perfectly. He was a slave, yes, but he never saw himself as a victim of his fate. He said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you interpret it that determines your destiny." Because even with chains on his feet, he chose what to do with his mind and his time. He never let his life turn into a lament. And you, with free hands and 1,000 possibilities in front of you, are you really going to keep interpreting your story as if you couldn't decide? I'm sure this feels familiar, doesn't it? Like that time your friend, the one you haven't seen in years, invited you to have lunch at his place. And you, with a knot in your throat because you actually wanted to go, told him, "I can't, I don't have time. I've got to catch up on emails." And you hung up the phone convinced you were being responsible. Only that afternoon you ended up on the couch, watching some trashy reality show. Hands full of popcorn and head full of excuses. That's how a modern donkey starves. And you? How much longer are you going to let that excuse control you? If you really want to focus and stop wasting your days on nothing, try this. Replace every time you're about to say, "I don't have time," with "It's not my priority," and say it out loud. It might sound strange, it might make you uncomfortable, but that's the point. Also, every time you catch yourself saying that phrase, write down what you did spend your time on today. Look at that list and compare it to the things you claim you don't have time for. And this reminds me of something I heard Jay Shetty say on his podcast. He says it's not that we have too much to do, but too many things we think we have to do. We live in fear of leaving things unchecked on the list. And that's why we end up trapped between piles of useless tasks, without choosing a single one that matters. But he suggests something powerful. What if you only had 4 free hours today? Really think about it. 4 hours. The most important thing. The thing you truly can't put off till tomorrow. Do that first. And sure, maybe you don't have 4 free hours. I know, we all have responsibilities. But I challenge you to set aside 1 hour, just one, for yourself. For that thing you've been postponing for months, even years. But here's the key. Defend it like it's a meeting with your boss, don't give it up. Because it's your life on the line, not just another errand. So my friend, next time you say, "I don't have time," remember Buridan's donkey. Choosing is living. Not choosing is starving. Or worse, drowning in mediocrity. Don't let your fear of choosing keep stealing your minutes. Because no one else is going to choose them for you. 3. Who's stealing your days? Who's stealing your days? Have you thought about it? Do you even know what they look like? They don't wear ski masks or carry a gun. They're discreet. They slip into your routine, disguised as rest or as a commitment. And before you even notice, they've already taken your hours. Does this sound familiar? Tell me. How many times have you stayed just 5 minutes watching funny fall videos? Or checking for the 4th time if someone finally replied in the birthday group chat? Or reading why koalas sleep 20 hours a day? That's how time thieves work. Small, silent, like leaks in the roof. At first nothing seems wrong, but one day you realize the whole house is flooded. And I don't blame you. It happened to me too. One day I thought, I'm just going to sit down for 5 minutes to rest. I opened my phone and started watching cooking videos. Told myself it was just a little while. When I looked up, I already knew how to make a 3-layer cake with fondant and caramel, but I hadn't done anything important all day. I'd given hours away to something I didn't even want, and while I was wasting my afternoon on impossible recipes, an image came to mind. Marcus Aurelius at his desk, writing so he wouldn't lose himself in the chaos of his empire. He too lived surrounded by noise, by distractions, by people demanding, talking, asking for things. But he was clear that he couldn't let all that get into his mind. That's why he kept telling himself, like a shield, confine yourself to the present and attend only to what concerns you. And if you think about it, it's such a simple phrase but so powerful, because many times it's not even your phone that distracts you. It's what you let in, what you accept, what you don't filter. Marcus Aurelius understood that living isn't about filling yourself with things, but emptying yourself of the unnecessary. That protecting your time starts with cleaning up your attention. Do you know Emma Chamberlain? In one of her podcasts, she said something that made me smile because it felt so familiar. Like what I told you earlier. She said she spent her days exhausted, feeling like there weren't enough hours for anything, always saying she was so busy. Until one day, while checking her messages for the 10th time, she stopped and thought, but busy doing what? She started paying attention. She'd respond to every notification like it was urgent, accept invitations she didn't even want, reply to messages from people she barely knew, and at the end of the day she felt she hadn't done anything that was truly hers. It was as if anyone could walk into her time and take a piece, so she decided to try something different. The next time her phone buzzed, she looked at it and left it on the table. When someone asked her for something she wasn't interested in, she simply said no. And little by little she realized most of her exhaustion didn't come from working. It came from not setting boundaries. And she wasn't as busy as she'd thought. She was just letting everyone steal her minutes without a fight. Imagine for a moment an entire day. You wake up and the first thing you do is check your messages. You reply to 2 that didn't matter and half an hour's already gone. You go into the bathroom with your phone and end up reading a debate on social media about something you didn't even know existed. Then you get dressed in a rush, and while you're eating breakfast, someone calls to ask something that could have easily waited. You get to work and bounce between emails and notifications until lunchtime, and you realize you still haven't done anything truly important. In the afternoon, you get dragged into a meeting you don't need, check WhatsApp 3 times just to look at memes, and by the end of the day you feel like you haven't stopped. But in reality, you haven't moved forward. And little by little the house fills up. So are you ready to find out who's been stealing your days? Here are 3 ways to catch them and take back your focus. First, for just one day, write down everything you spend more than 10 minutes on, without judging yourself. Just watch. If you want, make a table with the time, the activity, and how you felt afterward. I promise you'll be surprised. Second, when you see the list, mark in red the things that don't add anything to your well-being or your goals. And yes, even that WhatsApp group that just sends stickers counts as a thief. Third, use a timer for suspicious activities, like social media or TV. Set a limit. Don't let the app tell you when to stop. You tell it. My friend, thieves don't leave on their own. Either you find them and kick them out, or they'll keep taking what's most valuable, your time. Spotting them is the first step to stop losing your days and finally focus on yourself. You decide whether you keep giving your minutes away to those who don't deserve them or start protecting what's yours. And now tell me, what's the most ridiculous time thief you've let into your day? Leave it in the comments. Or if you want to confess it with humor, write, I got robbed, but I was watching cat videos. 4. Stop living for others. Picture this, a Sunday afternoon. The sky is gray, there's a chill in the air, and you already had the perfect plan in your head. Stay home. Finally open that book you've been wanting to read for weeks. Maybe go for a run to clear your mind. But then your phone buzzes and you see the message. Are you coming to Marta's birthday? Marta, you barely know her. You've seen her twice and don't even remember what you talked about. But there you are, staring at the screen with a knot in your stomach and your fingers typing. Of course, I'll be there. And off you go. You walk to the place with that feeling you'd rather be anywhere else. You arrive, walk in, say hello out of obligation, and park yourself in a corner of the room with a plastic cup in your hand. The music's too loud, the people too distant, and you too uncomfortable. You force a smile, exchange a few words with someone, pretend to check your phone to look busy. And inside you're thinking, what am I doing here? When you finally leave, late and exhausted, it feels like your Sunday just went down the drain. That's how you start losing your days. Saying yes when deep down you wanted to say no. Trying to please everyone to avoid a bad look, a comment, a sigh. And the worst part is, no matter how hard you try, it will never be enough. There will always be someone who criticizes, someone who expects more, someone who's not satisfied. It's like the fable of the man, his son, and the donkey. The three of them were on their way to the market, walking with the donkey beside them. At first, the father rode the donkey while the son walked. People murmured, "Poor boy, forced to walk while the father rides comfortably." So they switched. The son rode and the father walked. And people said, "Shameless, the boy riding while his father walks." So they both got on the donkey, and they heard what cruelty to the poor animal. Finally, they decided neither would ride and both walked. And then people laughed. Why bring a donkey if you're not going to use it? They lost their patience, argued, and ended up losing the donkey entirely because they didn't know who to please. Do you see? That's your life when you live for others. Today, you say yes to an invitation. Tomorrow, you take on a favor you don't want to do. The next day, you pile on tasks that aren't yours. And little by little, you forget about yourself. As Epictetus wrote, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and you will go on well." Because no matter how much you try to control everyone else's expectations, you can't. And you know what happens. You don't just lose time, you lose focus on what really matters, your life. Do you know Mark Manson? In his book, he puts it bluntly. Every time you say yes out of fear of saying no, you're giving a piece of your life to someone else. And most of the time, they don't even notice or appreciate it. These are small decisions. Going somewhere you didn't want to, giving your time to something that brings you nothing, accepting a critique as if it were a command. Little by little, you stop being the owner of your days. So let's go back to that Sunday. Next time you get an invitation and feel your body pulling you to stay home, try this. Before replying, take a deep breath and ask yourself the question no one dares to ask. Do I really want to go, or am I just going out of obligation? Listen to yourself. If the first thing you feel is relief at the thought of saying no, that's your answer. Then have a kind but firm phrase ready. Something as simple as, "Thanks for thinking of me, but I can't." You don't need to dress it up or come up with excuses. That only digs you into a deeper hole. Don't say, "I have to work," because maybe you won't actually work and then you'll feel guilty. Don't invent, "I'm not feeling well," because next time they'll ask if you're better. Tell the truth without justifying yourself, like you're saying, "I don't want coffee today." And finally, give yourself permission to disappoint someone if it means not disappointing yourself. Because yes, someone might get upset. They might give you a look, make a sarcastic comment, even push back. In that moment, stand firm. Repeat to yourself, "This is my time, not theirs." And if it helps, remember it with humor. Better they be annoyed for a little while than you carrying the frustration all night. My friend, living for others is like throwing your days into a bottomless pit. No matter how much time you give away, it'll never be enough. Do you really want to keep wasting your life trying to please everyone but yourself? Either you start focusing on what really matters, your own life, or you'll keep letting others decide for you. 5. Stop doing 1,000 things at once. Imagine it's your birthday. You walk into the living room with a bag full of balloons and you say to yourself, "I'll blow them all up at the same time to save time." You take a deep breath, blow a little into one, turn and blow into another, then another, and in the end, none of them fills up. You end up dizzy, lungs empty, and the room just as empty. Sounds absurd, right? Well, that's exactly how you live when you try to do 1,000 things at once. Blowing in every direction, thinking you're being productive, when really you're just wearing yourself out and not moving forward on anything worthwhile. That illusion of being a multitasker is what's stealing your days without you noticing. It's easy to fall into that trap because it feels like you're doing a lot. You jump from task to task without stopping. You put the laundry on while trying to fold clothes, but halfway through you remember you were supposed to take something out of the freezer. And on the way you stop to water a plant because it looks sad. You end up with the laundry half folded, the freezer open, the plant dripping water, and you wondering why the house still looks like a mess after an hour. And don't think I'm telling you this because I want you to do less. On the contrary, I want you to finally do something that's actually worth it. You know what Cal Newport, the author of Deep Work, discovered? That people are convinced they're making progress just because they never stop moving. But in reality, they're just running on a treadmill, getting nowhere. Why does that happen? Because you don't do anything with real depth. You hop from one thing to another and think your brain switches channels in a second. But it doesn't. Newport says your attention gets stuck on the previous task. Every interruption leaves behind little crumbs, cluttering your mind and making it sluggish. He calls that attention residue, and the more you jump, the more it piles up. So what does he suggest? Something that sounds simple, but almost no one does. Protect spaces to concentrate like they're sacred. Close the door, turn off notifications, tell people you're not available, and stay there for 1 or 2 hours doing just one thing. No cheating, and not just at work. In your life, too. Makes sense, right? It's like what Marcus Aurelius wrote, surrounded by generals, ministers, and all kinds of problems. Do each thing as if it were the last thing you do in your life. For him, giving one thing your full attention was a way to honor the present moment and respect himself. His empire had thousands of issues to resolve, but each one deserved its moment. And if an emperor could focus on what was in front of him, so can you. Now I want you to picture a common situation. You're in a work meeting. You try to take notes in your notebook while glancing at WhatsApp, and at the same time, mentally going over the grocery list because you forgot to buy milk. Suddenly someone says, "And what do you think?" You look up and realize you have no idea what they were talking about. Everyone stares. You smile, nod, and promise yourself that next time you'll pay attention. Until it happens again. Before you end up with 10 deflated balloons and your head in a mess, here are 3 steps to regain your focus. First, set blocks of time for a single task and protect them like they're sacred. For example, block 20 minutes just to answer emails and nothing else, even if your phone buzzes and your mind tries to wander. Second, turn off all notifications and close unnecessary tabs before you start. Close WhatsApp, social media, even the news. If someone really needs you, they'll call. And third, spend the first 5 minutes before each task just breathing and reminding yourself what the goal is. You can do it as simply as writing on a piece of paper, "Now I'm going to finish this report." That little gesture tells your brain where it needs to be. My friend, if you want to truly fill your life, stop blowing into 10 balloons at once. Stop doing 1,000 things halfway and start doing one thing well. Because every time you scatter your focus, you're giving away minutes that won't come back, and before you know it, the party will be over, and you'll still be standing there with all your balloons empty. 6. Do you know where you're going? Where are you going? Seriously, answer it. Where are you going when you get out of bed in the morning? What are you chasing when you pack your schedule until it bursts? Or have you not even asked yourself? Because if you don't know where you're going, it doesn't matter how fast you run. You'll just keep going in circles. Think of it like this. Picture an archer with a blindfold on. He has a powerful bow, brand new arrows, and all the strength in the world to draw the string. He shoots with all his might, and every arrow ends up in the void. Why? Because he doesn't know where the target is. That's what you do when you fill your life with tasks, commitments, and other people's goals without stopping to define your own target. You're wasting arrows. And the worst part is, you don't even notice until you've run out. Look at Seneca and learn from his example. He didn't waste time because he knew exactly where he wanted to go. He didn't wake up each morning improvising, and he didn't let others decide for him. His mind was fixed on his harbor, and everything he did, every decision he made, was aligned with that. He knew he couldn't afford to waste even a day on complaints, on intrigues, or on empty pleasures, because each of those days pulled him further away from what really mattered. And don't think his life was easy. He lived in Nero's court, surrounded by conspiracies, luxury, and threats. But while everyone else got swept away by the current, he kept repeating a simple truth to himself. No wind is favorable to the man who does not know to which port he sails. That's also what Ali Abdal realized, though in a different time and context. For years, he followed the perfect script. Study medicine, graduate with top marks, be the model student. Every day he checked off task after task, convinced that one day he'd feel like he was getting somewhere. But at night, alone in his room, with his lab coat hanging on the chair and his mind racing, he wondered why he still felt empty, as if he were rowing and rowing without getting closer to any shore. Until one day, after an exhausting shift, he sat down with a coffee and a blank sheet of paper and asked himself something uncomfortable. If I keep going like this for 5 more years, will I like where I end up? And the answer was as clear as it was painful. No. So he started writing on that sheet not what others expected of him, but what truly excited him. What lit up his mind and made him feel like he wasn't wasting his time. That's when he realized his destination wasn't just to pile up medical achievements he didn't even care about, but to create something that inspired others, something that made him wake up with energy instead of dread. That day, he put the lab coat aside, stopped wasting energy on what didn't bring him closer to his harbor, and started focusing on his life with intention. That was the day he stopped rowing in circles and finally aimed at his target. And maybe the same thing is happening to you. You look at your days and they're full. Classes, gym, dinners with friends, online courses, endless tasks. But at night, when you turn off the light, you still feel like you're in the same place. Like you're rowing hard but not moving. Because without a clear direction, no matter how exhausted you get, you won't reach anywhere. So now I ask you, how can you define your direction? It's simpler than you think. Take half an hour, just half, to sit down with a pen and paper. Write down, without filters, what actually excites you and what you're doing just out of habit or to please others. When you see it clearly, picture how you'd like to see yourself in a year. Don't just say better or happy. That means nothing. Write it in detail. What you'd be doing, with whom, where, what time you'd wake up. And finally, pick one small action that brings you closer to that vision and do it today. Not tomorrow. Today. Even if it's as simple as sending an email, signing up for a class, or saying no to something that no longer serves you. Your life can't keep being an archer shooting blind. The sooner you decide which port you want to reach, the sooner you'll stop wasting your arrows and start hitting the mark. Because every day that passes without a direction is a day you won't get back, and no one but you can aim at the target. So tell me, my friend, do you already know which port you're sailing to? Or are you still shooting arrows in the dark? Tell me in the comments, because you're not rowing alone here. This community is full of people who have also decided to stop wasting time and start focusing on their own lives. 7. Learn to say no without explaining yourself. Picture this. It's Tuesday night, you finally get home, take off your shoes, and fill the bathtub. Tonight you decided to have a quiet bath. Close your eyes. Maybe put on some music. You are finally going to give yourself a little time and plan to go to bed early. Not just because you're tired, though you are, but because lately you've been getting up earlier to write a few lines each morning, to clear your mind and start the day with intention. You knew you needed rest to keep up that new habit. But just as you lean back into the hot water, your phone buzzes. A coworker texts, "Hey, can you help me with a presentation? It's urgent." Without thinking much, you reply, "Sure, no problem." And next thing you know, you're sitting in front of your laptop, hands cold on the keyboard, writing a PowerPoint that won't even have your name on it. Why did you do it? Out of obligation? Fear of looking bad? That absurd need to always explain yourself? Whatever the reason, what you just did was hand over a piece of your battery to someone else without even thinking. Meanwhile, your rest evaporated, your morning routine is now at risk, and you're still working on something that doesn't matter to you and isn't even your responsibility. My friend, your time and energy are like your phone battery. Every unnecessary yes is another app running in the background, draining you silently. Suddenly you're exhausted, with a dozen things open, and no energy left for what you really wanted to do. And the worst part? Every time you try to excuse or justify yourself, you're giving away even more power, as if your life needed permission to be yours. And if you're still not sure, look at Epictetus. He was a slave. He couldn't choose where to sleep or what to eat. He didn't even have control over his own body. But even so, no one stole his mind. When someone demanded something he knew wasn't worth his energy, he simply did it without letting anger or fear of disappointing take over. That's why he said, "Freedom begins when we stop living according to the wishes of others." And he proved it every day. That's what you can do too. Because even though you don't wear chains, you still give away your minutes as if they meant nothing. And my friend, whether you see it or not, that pulls you further from the life you really want. And maybe you're thinking now, okay, but in the real world, I can't just go around saying no to everything. And you're right. It's not about being a wall. It's about remembering that every time you say yes to something you don't want, you're saying no to what really matters. And that, sooner or later, will cost you. So next time your finger is about to type "sure" on WhatsApp, think twice. First, prepare 2 short, firm phrases ahead of time. Something as simple as "no thanks" or "can't this time." Memorize them so you don't have to improvise when the pressure comes. They're like a shield ready to use. Second, start practicing in small situations. For example, next time someone offers you a coffee you don't want, smile and just say, "No, thanks." You don't have to explain that you already had one or that caffeine makes you jittery. It's your choice, and that's enough. The more you practice on little things, the easier it'll get when it really counts. Finally, remember this. Not giving an explanation doesn't make you selfish. It just makes you clear. People who truly respect you will understand that your time and peace matter too. You choose where to spend your minutes and who to give them to. And that's one of the most powerful ways to take control of your life. And don't forget this, my friend. Your battery isn't infinite. Every yes you say out of obligation is energy you'll never get back. If you want to stop wasting your days and start focusing on what really matters, learn to say no without guilt. Because when you finally do, the freedom Epictetus talked about will start to show up. And trust me, nothing is worth more than that freedom. Now tell me, what's that thing you still find hard to say no to? Share it in the comments. Or if you'd rather not explain yourself, just write, "Stoic at heart." So we know that here, in this community, you're also learning to take care of yourself. 8. Your environment speaks louder than you. Have you ever stopped to really look around? Seriously, right now, take a look at your desk, your walls, your phone, the people you talk to every day. Because, my friend, your environment isn't just decoration. All of it speaks to you. All of it pulls you in a direction whether you like it or not. And if you don't choose it yourself, you end up swimming in dirty water without even realizing it. It's like a fish swimming its whole life in a murky tank thinking that's just how the ocean is. It doesn't know there's anything else. It doesn't notice the filth because it's never tasted clean water. And you, without realizing, keep swimming in an environment that drags you down, clouds your mind, and exhausts you, thinking there's no way out, until one day you dare to change the water, and finally, you breathe. Think about it for a second. You get to work and your desk looks like a crime scene. Papers stacked into towers, sticky notes everywhere, a mug of cold coffee and crumbs from last week. Your phone buzzes every 2 minutes with pointless group chats, promo emails, and people asking favors. And you try to focus on what matters. Right, like an archer with a blindfold on. It's no joke. Science backs it up. A Harvard Business Review study found that people who work in organized spaces finish tasks 1.5 times faster than those surrounded by chaos, like hitting the bullseye instead of shooting arrows into the air. That explains why you end up exhausted without having done anything that actually counts. And it's not just your desk, is it? It's the people you spend your days with, those coworkers who complain about everything, that WhatsApp group full of drama, the TV blaring bad news while you eat dinner. Marcus Aurelius, and he didn't even have a phone or social media, already knew this. In his Meditations, he wrote, "Choose not to let your mind be invaded by the thoughts of others." He understood your environment isn't just what you see and touch, but what you hear and allow into your mind. That's why he chose carefully who he spent time with, stepped away when he needed silence, and cared for his mind like you'd care for your body. He knew that if you don't watch the water you swim in, you end up breathing filth without noticing. So now that you know this, tell me, what air are you breathing every day? Because if your space is a mess, your notifications never stop, and your conversations are always with people who drain more than they give. It makes sense that you can't focus, not because you lack strength, but because your environment is sabotaging you. So what can you do to start cleaning that water? Here's something simple and effective. Start by making a list of the people and places where you spend most of your time, and write next to each one how they really make you feel. Be honest. If they drain you, write it down. Then find at least one quiet place to recharge, even if it's just your car or a corner of the park. Go there when you need clarity and silence. And here's the most important part: clean. Really, my friend, start there. Before you get plants, posters, or motivational quotes, get rid of the junk. Remove everything that doesn't serve you, that's in the way, that distracts you. Clear the desk, mute the notifications that won't shut up, fold that pile of clothes on the chair. Step by step, start clearing it out. Then, place one thing that inspires you, a plant, a photo that reminds you of your goal, an empty space where you can just breathe. And you'll see, as you clean outside, you'll also clean inside. Only then does your environment start to look like the person you want to be. And at last, you can focus. Because, my friend, your environment speaks louder than your intentions. You can tell yourself 1,000 times that today you're really going to focus, that you won't waste time, that you'll give your best. But if you keep swimming in dirty water, you'll never make it. And if while listening to this you realized you can't even remember when you stopped choosing for yourself, maybe it's time to force yourself to hit reset on your life. Watch that other video showing on screen. It'll give you the push you need to start fresh, with intention, and without looking back. 9. Your routine shouldn't drain you. Picture this. A young guy, his face swollen and his body covered in scars, lies staring at the ceiling of his hospital room. He can barely move. They told him his athletic career was over, and he'd be lucky to walk properly again. He didn't say anything. He just promised himself one thing. He'd do one push-up a day. Just one. Then, one paragraph a day. Then, one more habit. That's the story of James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, who rebuilt his body and his life not through heroic sacrifices or grand gestures, but with a small, light, and truly his routine. Today, he inspires millions, not because he never fell, but because he learned to get back up with a routine that held him up instead of crushing him. Now think about you. What's your routine like? The alarm goes off and you're already tired before you even open your eyes. You hit snooze 3 times and get up rushing because the kids are already awake and shouting. While you're trying to get dressed, you're mentally making a list of everything that's missing: the backpacks, breakfast, the urgent email for work. You shower halfway, with the bathroom door cracked in case they start fighting. You eat breakfast standing up, arguing because no one can find their shoes, and you drag everyone out the door so you're not late. At work, same chaos. Emails, meetings, calls, everything needed yesterday. You answer everyone except yourself. At midday, you grab something quick and unhealthy to eat, with your phone in your hand replying to messages. In the afternoon, you rush to pick up the kids, make last-minute grocery stops, handle commitments you couldn't cancel. When you finally get home, the kitchen's a mess, homework's waiting, and dinner is something thrown together that tastes like nothing. And then you think, okay, this is my time. But what you really do is collapse on the couch, bowl of something greasy in hand, mindlessly watching a show you don't even care about, while still scrolling on your phone without noticing. And when you finally turn off the TV and climb into bed, There's that strange feeling in your chest. You were busy all day, but did nothing for yourself. And the worst part is, you didn't even notice how much time you lost. Because without a routine designed for you, everyone else ends up devouring your time. You drift, reacting to whatever comes, showing up for everyone but yourself. That's why you're so tired. That's why you never have time to focus on your own life. A routine without intention is like trying to fill a broken sack. No matter how much you put in, it's always empty. Look at Marcus Aurelius. Don't think his life was peaceful. And no, it wasn't because he wasted time like we do, scrolling on his phone in the bathroom or arguing with the microwave. Even so, every morning and every night he sat down to write in his journal. He reviewed his day and reminded himself not to become a slave to empty habits. He even wrote, "Don't let your mind become a slave to empty habits." That's why he made sure his routine made sense, that every act brought him closer to integrity, not to useless exhaustion. So my friend, if your routine leaves you more tired than fulfilled, how could you change it to focus on you? First, review your day and cut out just one activity that doesn't get you anywhere. It just takes up space. Maybe it's that meeting you don't need, that extra hour at work to impress someone, or that endless conversation with someone who gives you nothing. Second, add a small ritual that recharges you. A short walk, 10 minutes for yourself, something simple but yours. Something that when you do it you feel belongs to you and actually adds something, even if it's small. Third, review your calendar each week to adjust what no longer works and avoid letting it become a prison. If you leave it fixed and never question it, one day you'll realize you're living by someone else's agenda, not your own. A routine that drains you isn't a routine. It's a sentence. Like Marcus Aurelius said, review your habits before they turn you into a slave. Because every minute lost in empty habits is one less minute to focus on what really matters. 10. Stop obsessing over the finish line. Picture this. A climber, eyes locked on the summit. All he can think about is that moment when he plants his foot at the top, the flag waving, the triumphant photo. Meanwhile, his breath is short, sweat blurs his vision. His hands shake from cold and fear. He's so focused on getting there that he doesn't notice the stunning sunrise around him, the clear sky, clouds like cotton, and a silence you can't find anywhere else. He climbs and climbs, never looking up, until he finally arrives. And yes, the summit was there, but everything else slipped through his fingers. What if I told you that climber is you? Because that's how you walk through life, my friend. Obsessed with the end, gritting your teeth to reach that goal, that number, that validation. And you don't even notice everything you already have, everything you could be enjoying along the way. It's this habit we have of measuring ourselves only by the outcome. And that anxiety to arrive is what keeps you from focusing on what truly matters, your own path, what you do today for you. And maybe you're wondering, how do you stop obsessing over what's at the top? Let me answer with this quote from Marcus Aurelius. Let not your mind run on what you lack as much as on what you already have. And think how much you'd crave it if it weren't yours. He too had goals, military campaigns, impossible decisions. But he knew if he didn't live the present with integrity, the future would crush him. So he filled each day with actions that mattered, as if it were the only day he had. And this isn't just about emperors in togas and laurel crowns. Look at Rich Roll. From the outside, he seemed to have it all. Successful lawyer, nice car, big house. But inside he felt empty, because his whole life revolved around a final goal that never arrived. He'd tell himself, when I achieve this, then I'll be happy. When I'm fit, then I can enjoy. But that then always slipped away. Every day he pushed a little harder, thinking only about the result, and meanwhile he didn't enjoy a single second of what he was living. Until one random night, tired of that endless race, he decided to change the question. Instead of asking, when will I get there, he asked, what can I do today that already makes me feel good, even if it doesn't get me closer to any goal? And that's how it started. Not thinking about ultramarathons, not obsessing over being an example. Just going out for a jog, even if he was gasping after a few meters. And for the first time in years, he felt the air on his face, the silence in his mind, the sweetness of the moment. Now picture yourself in this situation. You start training to run 5 kilometers. The first day is brutal. The second, everything hurts. The third, you get frustrated because you're gasping after just 2 kilometers, and you think this isn't for you. You stop going. You convince yourself you'll try again when you're in better shape. Just like the climber who misses the views, exhausting himself thinking only of the flag, never looking at what's beneath his feet. But what if you learn to enjoy the process? Just like Rich Roll did. And if you don't know where to start, ask yourself, what do you enjoy? Cooking? Then cook without watching the clock, without thinking about calories or who will praise you afterward. Running? Run, even if you don't break any records. Reading? Read for pleasure, not just to tick off another book. Dancing? Then dance, even if there's no music. Do something that isn't just a means to get somewhere else, but an end in itself. Something that makes you smile while you're doing it, not afterward. Also, talk to yourself like your best coach would. Remind yourself that every step counts, even if it's small, even if it's not perfect today. You can repeat a simple mantra, here, today counts. And don't forget to celebrate even the smallest things. Yes, even what seems ridiculous. Today you took the stairs without huffing. Today you wrote 2 more paragraphs than yesterday. Today, you didn't compare yourself to anyone. That counts too. Because, my friend, your life isn't just a summit to reach. It's the whole mountain, every step, every stumble, every view along the way. So now tell me, what's that small thing you're going to start enjoying today? Leave it in the comments. We want to read you and climb together, step by step, without missing the view. 11. Don't wait to feel like it. Not today, I'm tired. Better when it's not so cold. I'll do it when I feel motivated. Sound familiar? Of course it does. We all have that inner voice, like a full-time excuse salesman. And the worst part is, it sounds so convincing, you end up believing it. But let me ask you something. How many times have you sat around waiting for the motivation to come, and it never showed up? Do you know why the motivation doesn't come? Because you're feeding a monster. Tim Urban calls it the instant gratification monkey. The one that keeps whispering, relax, wait, it's not the right time yet. And while you believe it, he keeps eating your days, one after another. Last Saturday was a perfect example. Maybe this sounds familiar. You wanted to make the most of the day. You planned to read in the sun, clean the house, visit your mom, maybe even start that project you've been putting off for months. But when the alarm went off, you said, just 5 more minutes. And when you opened your eyes, it was already noon. You skipped breakfast. Then you thought, I'm just not motivated today. Tomorrow I'll do it properly. And the funny thing is, even though you spent the whole day dragging yourself around, thinking about everything you didn't do, the monster was happy. It won again. Epictetus, on the other hand, didn't give that monster any space. He didn't get up each morning asking himself whether he felt like it or not. He knew his strength didn't depend on circumstances or feelings or other people. He said it clearly. Don't wish for things to be easier. Wish to be stronger. That was his way of saying, stop negotiating with your feelings and start negotiating with your discipline. Because when you act even though you don't feel like it, you not only beat the monster, you also get stronger for next time. And here's the thing. We think motivation is this magic key that opens the door for us to act. But in reality, it's the opposite. Action is the key that unlocks motivation. You move your finger first, and then the drive follows. So, my friend, next time you find yourself negotiating with your pillow, here's something you can try to slam the door on laziness. First, get ahead of the monster by having everything ready the night before. Lay out your clothes, shoes, water bottle. Don't give your brain the chance to start making up excuses when you wake up. Second, commit publicly to someone. Tell a friend, your partner, or even post it on your socials that you're going for a run at 8 tomorrow. Trust me, the shame of not showing up is a powerful motivator. And third, when everything feels heavy and you don't even want to move, just do 2 minutes. Just 2. Go, start. Even if it's just sweeping 2 feet of floor, writing 2 sentences, doing 2 push-ups. Because most of the time, the hard part isn't continuing, it's starting. The monster is strong, yes, but not invincible. The more you act without asking its permission, the smaller it becomes. Motivation is like public Wi-Fi, slow, unreliable, and full of viruses. If you keep waiting for it to work properly before you connect, you'll never get anything done. As Epictetus said, don't wait for the world to bend to you. Get stronger and act. Every day you surrender to excuses, you lose precious minutes that won't come back. Every time you decide to start, even though you don't feel like it, you win back a little more of your time and your life. And by the way, stick around until the end, because the next and final trick I'm going to share with you might just be the most powerful of all, to stop wasting time and truly focus. 12. Today is all you have. Look at me and answer honestly, how much longer are you going to keep waiting? Another Monday? When the project's over? When the kids grow up? When life finally lets you catch your breath? Because I have news for you. And maybe you don't want to hear it, but you need to. Tomorrow doesn't exist. All you have is today, and you're spending it. Picture this. You've been meaning to call someone important. That friend who's known you since you were a kid, who's shared laughs and secrets with you, who you haven't seen in months. Every week you think about calling them, but you put it off until tomorrow. Always tomorrow. Until one day you open your phone and see they've moved to another country, without saying goodbye. And right there with the phone in your hand, it hits you. No, life isn't infinite. And then something even more uncomfortable sinks in. It's not just with them. You've also been putting off your dreams, your travels, your own words, the decisions you know you need to make, as if you had centuries ahead of you. And every day slips through your fingers while you, without realizing it, keep running toward nothing. You spend your days putting out fires, checking off tasks, showing up for everyone else. But inside, quietly, you know the essential things are still sitting there, shoved into a corner. And when you finally stop, you realize that what was filling your calendar wasn't filling your life. It was just noise. Bronnie Ware, the Australian nurse who cared for hundreds of people in their final days, heard it too many times. I wish I'd said what I felt. I wish I'd dared to be myself. I wish I'd lived by my own priorities, not someone else's. After hearing that word so often, Bronnie decided she wouldn't wait until she was 80 to look back with regret. She changed her life before it was too late. Do you see? My friend, living with urgency doesn't mean running around like crazy or crossing off 100 things from a list. It's not about stressing to get ahead of everyone else. It's about choosing what to say yes to and what to say no to. It's about recognizing that your time is not infinite and stopping this habit of acting like it is. It's about putting what matters first before it's too late. Seneca knew this well. Surrounded by luxury and conspiracies, he wrote, "It's not that we have little time, but that we waste much of it." Because living with urgency isn't about more years. It's about more days when you're truly awake, truly present, and you don't have to wait until you're lying in a bed to get it. You can start right now, today. So let me ask you, if today were your last day, what would you spend it on? Most people don't even dare to answer, but the answer is there waiting. To help you, try this. First, do the thing that scares you most or excites you most. Yes, before anything else. That thing you keep putting off because you think it's not the right time. That project, that conversation, that experience that makes you feel alive. Then, every night, take 5 minutes to ask yourself if what you did today left you satisfied or if you just survived. And finally, close your open loops quickly. Stop carrying around half-kept promises, grudges, and dead projects that just take up space. Clear them out and move on. Because living with urgency doesn't mean rushing or living in anxiety. It means having the clarity and the courage to face what matters and do it before life moves on without you. Don't let your days fill up with "I wish" when there's nothing you can do anymore. Decide today to stop wasting time and focus on the only thing that really matters: your life. Stopping the waste of your time and focusing on what truly matters is the only way to build the life you deserve. Every day is a chance to choose with intention, to leave behind what distracts you, and to move forward toward what really counts. It's not about waiting until you feel ready. It's about acting here and now, with what you have, where you are. Because real transformation doesn't come by chance, but from every minute you choose not to waste and every decision you make with clarity. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "Today, I choose to truly live." That way, I'll know who the true Stoic warriors are, the ones who made it all the way to the end. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button so you don't miss what's coming next. Also, check the description box. We've left some resources there to help you dive deeper into Stoic teachings. Our goal is to bring you as much value as possible. And if at any point you feel like supporting us so we can keep creating this kind of content, you'll find how to do that in the pinned comment. Now, I invite you to explore the playlist on screen. It's designed to help you face life with greater wisdom and confidence. Click it, and let's keep growing together. Until the next talk, take care and keep embracing your inner Stoic.